If I lift weights, will I look bulky? You'll not look bulky immediately. It really depends on the goal. It's going to take a lot to get to that point of bulk. Typically, we're talking about eating a lot of food. The average person, male or female, is not going to get bulky by starting to lift weights in the gym. Do I do cardio before or after weights? The timing for me is not important. It can be before or after. I don't do them in the same visit to the gym. I don't like to. I want to give my all in whatever workout I'm doing. So I tend to try to work out separately when I'm lifting weights so that I can give my all. Sometimes my schedule doesn't permit it. If my schedule ever doesn't permit it, I prefer to lift weights first and then do cardio so that I can give it all in the lifting of weights and then maybe slack off a little in the cardio. It's less important to my goals. Do I eat carbohydrates? I get this question a lot, or I hear a lot of banter around the gym like, well, I don't eat carbs, or I cut out carbs, or I know not to eat carbs, so now what? And it makes me cringe every time I hear it. I understand why we're hearing it. Atkins started probably 10 or 15 years ago. It was followed by the South Beach diet. The most recent rendition has been paleo. I'm not opposed to any of these notions over the standard American lifestyle because our lifestyles have gotten less and less active. It makes sense to peel out some of these carbohydrates, especially the ones that are more and more and more refined. But what I would say is when you're active and you are reaching your anaerobic threshold in your workouts from time to time, like 2 to 5 times a week, you're going to need carbohydrates. They're not the enemy. Your understanding of how they fuel your body is what's working against us here. If you're still confused about this notion, let's work together so that we can talk about how to get your metabolism happy and using carbs to fuel your workouts. I've gotten asked a lot recently what exactly I've changed in the last few weeks. We're talking 2 to 4 weeks that people have been seeing me because my body has changed in the last 2 to 4 weeks. But nothing's changed. Similar to that blog, if you think back to the last one I wrote, it's all about consistency. I have just stayed consistent. This is what we would call a super technical term in the fitness industry, a whoosh. And you can look it up and a lot of people talk about it, but I didn't believe it necessarily until it was happening, and I was getting on the scale, once every 7 to 10 days, and it would read anywhere between 150 to 157 pounds, and that doesn't make me unhappy, but it just seemed like, what am I working towards? It's not moving. I stopped getting on the scale probably for 2 weeks to 3 weeks. I jumped on a week ago and it was 140. That's a huge swing. I do think that happened in a pretty quick amount of time, but it was compounded with all of that consistent building. You have to stay consistent, and there will be times that you wonder if it's working, and then all of a sudden, whoosh, it's working.